Everybody, welcome to Astrology Unplugged. I'm Rick DiClemente. We talk about lots of things related to astrology. Tonight we're going to look at a 7-minute video by David Hawkins, which is unbelievable, about quantum mechanics and about archetypes. We're going to talk about the fiasco, which is called the GOP. We're going to talk about the sin, which is called the garbage happening at the southern border. We're going to put this in perspective, but we're going to tell you right now, if you're tuning into this show, this is not a traditional astrology show. You're going to learn about the archetypes behind the scenes. If you want to go somewhere to learn astrology, how to do the houses, how to do the signs and all that, well, I do some of that sometime, but you may want to also take a course. As I approach every week, I ask the Holy Spirit, what he wants me to talk about. And I don't mean to say nice she, I choose the word he. And this particular week, I had a hard time hearing. And I think what that really means is sometimes I get the answer and I say to myself, well, that can't really be what he wants to talk about. And I have to stop myself because Rick really doesn't know. So I went forward with what the Holy Spirit said a couple of days ago. And he said to me to talk about the pitfalls of each sign. Well, I thought that was rather academic, and I don't want to bore people, but I went forward with it knowing that he's much wiser than I am. And only today, in the last few hours, did I get a good grasp about what he's talking about. As you know me by now, this is week number, 87. You notice in this class, this is not really just an astrology class. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to get my finger on it. We are changing. The show is changing. And one of the reasons my favorite group in the world is called King Crimson is, and this is one of their symbols. King Crimson is led by a fabulous guitarist named Robert Fripp. They've been together since '69. And Fripp says, when King Crimson is called for, we gather. When King Crimson is not called for, we separate. When King Crimson is called for, we regather. This is a big statement. This is what I'm trying to talk about. No one's in that group saying, well, it's time to do it. It just happens or it doesn't happen. And when you talk about this level, what ends up happening is the absence of the doer. And in spiritual dimensions, you hear all this talk about getting past the ego, getting past the ego. It's a very deep, boring, ad nauseum subject. But that's what's really going on. And this little 7-minute video I'm going to show you by David Hawkins, who just passed away, I think, 5 years ago, talks a lot about what's going on at the archetypal level, how form comes out of the unformed, how we call it the father. The son comes out of the father, which were really deadly terms that we ever should have used those. But anyhow, what I'm trying to say to you is my ultimate goal tonight is to talk to you about your sun signs, your solar energies, but not necessarily your sun sign. For instance, with Elke, I'm going to talk to her a lot about Cancer, but knowing Elke's chart, I'm going to talk to her a lot about significant, powerful, impactful planets, signs in her chart, archetypal energies, and with her, it's Capricorn, Saturn, it's Pluto, Scorpio, it's Gemini, Mercury, and it's Jupiter, Sagittarius. So get out of the mindset of thinking about sun signs. That's on another channel. Before we get to that, I want to talk to you about what came to me recently. Because I'm telling you the truth, that for years, my ex-wife and I, and my current girl, Liza Jane, the past 11 years, astrologers for over 40 years, we spent years laying in bed looking at books that had nothing but numbers in them. Years and years and years in bed, our head on the pillow, staring at books ephemerized, positions of the planets, looking and going, ooh, wow, ooh, wow, ooh, wow. And it's mostly all numbers. People think you're nuts. What I'm saying is for years, the planets acted kind of normally. We're not in anything normal now. Why? Because we just had 81 planets added to the zodiac. 81 planets. That's why. You know me, I'm pretty good. I find it. There it is. There it goes. There it goes. There it is. There it is. The last several years, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm starting to get a handle on it, and a lot of it is Eris, but it's not just Eris. A lot is happening. And the cosmic mind, the collective mind on this planet, has to be pretty damn impressive for God to announce that you're ready for 81 new players on your chart. You don't get new planets on your chart till you're ready, till the cosmic mind, the cosmic psyche is ready to handle 81 new ones. We didn't get Pluto till 1930. It was no coincidence that 30 years later came about Rod Serling and woo, Twilight Zone. Ooh, the weird stuff in the unconscious mind. Ooh, what's that? We weren't ready for it. The 18th century got Uranus. The Industrial Revolution. In the 19th century, we got Neptune. All the spiritualism. 20th century got one with Pluto. Now we got 81 new ones. That's what's happening. That's why the best of the best of the best of the astrologers are looking at each other with their mouth open. And when you read the good ones, and I will defer to Miss Elke because she reads everybody. There's not a website I go on in the world where Elke's not there. She's just everywhere, which means she has a lot of knowledge, a lot of breadth of knowledge and depth. The good ones are not trying to BS you. The good ones are not trying to say, this is what's happening. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's this full moon. Come on. These are major, major era-shifting changes. These people talking about in 2012, this big era shift, they were right. I hate to say it because it sounded so jive. It sounded so woo-woo. They were exactly right. It is here. We don't know what the hell to do. And the number one thing we need to do is to admit that we don't know what the hell to do. We all know what that means, is you always fall back to love. You always fall back to love, which is the panacea of all things. There's no reason to beat that dead horse. But astrologically, this is not explained by some opposition of Pluto to Neptune or Saturn to Neptune or a Pluto return. This is way, way beyond this stuff. And a lot of people are flying off the handle. Woo! Bye! You can see it all around you. You can hear it. And people are pleading for you to show me, who should I shoot? Who should I shoot? Who's the problem? Who caused this? Who? We caused it all. Part of evolution. And I started thinking about the archetypal forces. You know, when you think about the God energy and you hear, let go and let God, get out of the way and let the God force work with you. I was thinking about a child in the back seat of a car. Think about when you were little and you're riding in the back seat. And you can look at your mom and dad as if they are the wiser gods. They are the bigger minds. And they're taking you across this bridge, and they're taking you to get food, and they're taking you to get money, and they're taking you here, and they're arriving here. And they got a bigger plan because that's not in your mind. In the back seat, you're busy chewing gum and smacking your brother. We're going to get there when we get there. We're going to get there. That's very much what it's like with God. You got to trust that the guy that's driving knows what he's doing. So that's very much what Plato meant by the forms, the archetypal forms. So I'm going to go through your charts tonight, and I go into next week, and I'm going to go into Waldo. I'm going to say, Waldo, we want to look at these 3 or 4 energies because I said so, because I'm good at telling you what's important, what isn't. And you can argue with me. I don't care. And I can go into Mark's chart. I'm going to say these 3, 4 energy are the ones you need to watch for, plus your Aries sun. And I got my reasons, and I'll tell you what they are, but I'm not going to belabor them. My reasons are I've stared at tens of thousands of charts. And then when I talk with Marcia about her Capricorn sun, I can say, Marcia, you got strong Uranus, you got very strong Jupiter. Then when I start to go through each sign's energy, and I talk about the pitfalls of Aries, the pitfall of Leo, the pitfall of Virgo, then each of you can hear me. Because you're not glued to just listening to your sun sign. Okay? But the first thing I wanted to talk about, and I'm really stirred up about this because this is really, really exciting. This is a big deal. I have been talking for 12 years. I've been writing to people about how significant the GOP chart was going to go down the drain on May the 1st of 2018. And that doesn't mean by May 2nd it's over. We're going down the drain as we sense it now. Part of us, anyway. And I am not like people have accused me of. I don't talk about the Democratic chart. The reason why is I don't have a good one. I don't have one I trust. And I've been studying today some of the other Democratic charts, and I found one that's pretty good. You have to really check the validity. How is that really the birth? Well, I've been checking some, and they really look to me like I've landed on one that's pretty trustworthy, and it's printed on astro.com, which is a pretty good validation. So I will be talking about the Democratic chart too at a future time, and it's pretty damn sad. The Democratic chart, and I'm really not a Democrat. I'm 1% Democrat and 600 million anti-Republican. That's what I am. The Democratic chart doesn't have any faith in itself. The Democrat chart has faith, but no faith in itself. And it's scared to death. And it's waking up. Its sun is in the middle of Taurus. And here comes Uranus. Here comes Uranus through Taurus. And the sun is in the middle of Taurus. So the Democratic Party is going to start to change. But as you know, Taurus things change slowly. So when you look at this absolute disgusting, unbelievable that we even discussed putting these babies behind bars, you can see how we have hit rock bottom. In the midst of our Pluto return as a country, in the midst of Pluto opposite the sun, remember the GOP is a Cancer with a moon in Scorpio, and they will stop at nothing. But you can't bullshit Neptune. You can't, let's get t-shirts. You can't bullshit Neptune. You can't bullshit Pluto, and you can't bullshit Saturn. That's just the way it is. So I've been telling people for years and years and years that the Neptune was returning. 164-year orbit. We have a good date for the birth of the GOP in Jackson, Michigan, 164 years ago. Neptune went around and it returned. Well, I'm not stupid. And one of the things you have to learn as an astrologer, if the chart's telling you, don't listen to anything else. Listen to what it's telling you, because it's telling you the truth. It's unbiased. Now, it takes a lot of research, and I don't know a lot of things that are 164 years old. And I could go back and look through time and see what happened to things that were during their Neptune return. You're going to see the same thing. Because if mankind fails at anything, we fail at Neptune, because Neptune is the planet that wants the ego put to the side and dedicates your life to God. If anybody's pro-Neptune, or Neptune like you would say, it's India, perhaps China. So anyhow, this is by no means putting feathers in the cap of the Democrats, but what it's saying is, as Neptune was returning, as Neptune 10, 15 years ago, and if you listen to Richard Tarnas, who wrote Cosmos and Psyche, he gives about a 15-year orb. So Neptune's been affecting the GOP for at least 15 years. To me, it went Yahoo, and it was really born when Mr. Reagan came out. And all that stuff happened 30 years ago. The GOP had its opportunity. While Neptune was returning, the Holy Spirit was speaking loudly to them. There were voices inside the GOP saying, we have to have more heart. We were the planet, we were the party of family. We were the party of family. We were the party of family. So what do? You either get with it or you start lying to yourself. Call it smoke and mirrors. Now we get the king on top of smoke and mirrors. They've got the perfect leader. The perfect leader. So the question is, what happens to an entity once it gets an F- on its report card after the Neptune return? Well, it doesn't just go away. Come back after weekend, we get a new slate. The entity dies. The entity dies. The entity dies of what? Moral bankruptcy. We can just keep shoving that moral stuff, put the label on somebody else through our Fox network, and just keep feeding them BS. It's a total disinformation network. They're totally deluded. But after a while, the smoke and mirrors not only doesn't work, but everything stops. So what you saw happening down at the, we'll call it the Rio Grande, down along the border, you're seeing the essence of that movement was separation. The essence of Trump's movement is to separate and block with his Venus, Saturn, and Cancer. The essence of Neptune is to open and include. The essence of Neptune is Christ. Open and include. In other words, we need to start talking about, do we really want the Statue of Liberty standing there anymore? Should we give it back to France? As a matter of fact, Neptune is so strong, they might come and get it. The archetypes are powerful. During the Neptune return, the report card was being handed to the GOP, and it wasn't just the GOP, it was at least 50% of this country. Because a lot of the stuff Trump's getting away with is because this GOP won't do anything. And they're complicit. So when you have let's call for convenience, when you have 50% of your country dying and dissolving like the Wicked Witch under her hat, it's exactly what's happening. It affects the rest of us. And the really sad, pathetic thing is here, like in Australian football, you pass the ball to the Democrats, they're not ready to pick it up and run with it. They're trying. Duh, what we do? Duh. Not the Republicans. They're vicious. Vicious. So when we saw this stuff, it's going to be permanently in your brain. Like the Vietnamese kid getting shot, that image will never leave you. The girl at Kent State, well, why'd you shoot my friend? The little kid crying with her mother over top of her. That will be a permanent image. Once the return has happened, it's too late. Now remember, the Neptune return, which is May the 1st, as a matter of fact, I should do that. A chart for May the 1st, because their GOP's been reborn. But getting it down to the right minute would be really hard. But what's happening is, it's bled, the true self has been shown. And look at the First Lady wears on the back of her jacket. So, if you watch my page on Facebook yesterday, this brilliant, the only guy I follow, one person in the world I follow on Twitter. His name is Michael Moore. Because he's got balls, and I was a documentary filmmaker, and he put it out there that our country's been founded on genocide. That's what the Pluto return's about. That's how we get through this new age. You don't have to go out and save every soul in the world, but you get to it by being honest. And you get to it by, the worst thing you can do is walk around and talk about we're number one. Well, hell yeah, we've been number one all along. We got to become number one again. Well, that hasn't changed. So anyhow, a lot of what you're seeing now is the spin-off of what's happened because that party's going down the drain. And then you're seeing the panic life and money being pumped into the Fox network to increase the disinformation, and we are headed towards civil war. The civil war is not happening between the North and South. It's not happening between the Democrats and the Republicans. It's happening for the people with their heart open and the ones with them closed. So, I'm going to play a fabulous 7-minute talk by David Hawkins. I took it apart, I transcribed it, I chopped it down, and I put it in text, and I put it on my page on Facebook. You can read it, just go down my page till you see the picture of Dr. David Hawkins. But in this sense, I'm going to play the video. David Hawkins just passed. He was about 84 in 2012. And when you have your Uranus return at the age of 84, you are done. You are complete. And he was done. He had written 8 books, starting with Power versus Force. He made a science of this kinesiology. He made a huge science of it. Muscle testing, energy testing. Then he went on to write 8 more books and a 9th book. And he's just a genius. And he's got that Gemini thing, and he's really one of the few Geminis that have been able to wake up to such power, such status. And why? Because the Gemini's main function, the Gemini's central archetypal need is to figure out, what the hell's the word? Epistemology. Epistemology. How the mind works. And you can see how seasoned this guy is. He's been to hell and back. He's about 84. He's about to die, and he's going to talk to you. He's got wonderful videos on YouTube. Dr. David Hawkins. There's another David Hawkins that's a philosopher. There's a David Hawkins that's a basketball player. You want the David Hawkins that's a PhD. He was a psychiatrist for 50 years with a huge practice in New York City, and he's going to talk to you about archetypes now. Not even archetypes. He's going to talk to you about what is life. Well, life. What is the meaning of life? What is the meaning of life? Here he is.
So if I just tell you what's happening and all you have to do is notice it, you don't have to think about it, although later we'll explain it. The meaning of everything is what it is. That is its meaning. Its meaning is what it is. What's the meaning of a giraffe? The meaning of a giraffe is to be a giraffe. What did you think it meant? In this infinite field, which is beyond all dimensions and all description of infinite power, potentiality manifests as actuality when conditions are appropriate. So what you're witnessing is potentiality continuously emerging as creation. Therefore, creation and evolution are one and the same thing, because evolution is creation. All right, so the potentiality becomes an actuality, and all you're witnessing is the emergence. You're not even witnessing change. That's another illusion. There's no time, there's no change, those are all mentalizations. If I ask a rabbi what time is it, he wouldn't know what I'm talking about. That's a mentalization that the ego projects onto experience. You don't even see change. That's another illusion. What you see is the emergence, continuous emergence of potentiality becoming an actuality. The hand has a potentiality to actualize in such a manner and try to accompany the speech. The hand is not changing, it's just emerging into positionalities. So you see the actualization of the potentiality. Everything is happening in and of its own as a consequence of that which it is. There's no doer causing it. The difficulty in a group like this, which is erudite, spiritually speaking, is to jump from the paradigm of cause and effect. Why? Because the dualistic concept of cause and effect, so long as you hold that as a reality, there will be a separate you. You understand? There'll be going to be a separate self, separate from the self with a capital S, separate from the oneness. There would have to be an explanation of a you who intended to make this thing happen. See, I had nothing to do with it. Don't blame me for what the body does and the voice says. I mean, I have nothing to do with it. It emerges spontaneously as the consequence of the totality of the second. What is said as a consequence of an audience of this style, of this group, would be different than what would be said with a different audience, because the collective energy and the individual consciousness that makes it up would pull forth a different type of presentation and description. So what is being said is a consequence of your being here. And the way it's being said is a consequence of the totality. There's no person who decides it, and no person decides it. So the witnessing, then, that all phenomena are occurring spontaneously of their own is the consequence of that which they are. And nothing is being caused by anything. Everything, on the other hand, is dominated by the infinite field of power. So within an infinite field of power, that which you are automatically determines your alignment within the field. A giant electromagnetic field, if you're a little family, where you're going to be in that field depends on your charge, negative or positive. That's how karma works. Every decision then influences your energy, your polarity, and therefore your destiny is determined only by yourself. There's nobody paddling your canoe except you. As a consequence of the absolute judgment of the field itself, we interject the idea of judgment, see? As a consequence of that which you are perfectly exactly where you need to be in the universe. Not possible to be elsewhere. If the field is infinitely powerful, how could you be elsewhere than where you're supposed to be in the field? Huh? Consequently, every choice and every decision then affects one's spiritual energy, and one's spiritual energy is karma. Karma, which is well accepted in the Eastern world, is not understood in the Western world, which explains a lot of things. A person who's aware of karma would really hesitate at sawing off somebody's head. It would really give you the shakes, I worry if I step on a bug, don't you? I step around the bug. I don't want the karma of killing an innocent living thing, right? So then karma serves an inner discipline. Why? Because it states a truth. And the truth is that everyone is completely accountable to the universe. Over and over, we verify that. We have permission to ask that, O Lord. Everyone is absolutely accountable to the universe at the level of the absolute resistance. At the level of the absolute, everyone is automatically accountable to the universe. This is true as a consequence of the power of the field. Therefore, it's the field that guarantees salvation. Yeah?
It's the field that guarantees salvation. Hold on there. You saw him using his wife's arm to do muscle testing, in case you're not familiar with it. His books are covered with it, and not only that, he determined a scale from 1 to 1,000, specifically what these numbers mean. He's got 9 books. He's got one of his first books is called The Eye of the Eye. The Eye of the Eye, which is just, it will knock you out because it's just so brilliantly spoken. The purpose for me showing this is I am an astrologer and I will talk to you about that, but things are changing. I'm not deciding to change. I can just feel this program is starting to change. And I do have a lot of ability to teach you as an astrologer, which is going to come out around here and there, but you see me constantly coming back to the one central theme at all times, which is you're going back to God, and what can we do to help or hinder? What do we do? How do we not hinder? How do we help? I'm not teaching you anything. All my teaching I do on here is meant for me. All the teaching you do is meant for you. Don't deceive yourself that you're teaching anybody anything. You're teaching people by your own state of being. That's why I'm doing my best. And it's the same with all of us. And we have a very choice crowd. I've changed my mind. I'm not going to spend the time to go into all your charts tonight and talk about what your main planets are, because most of you know. Okay, now the reason I want to talk about the archetypes is, you know about Libra, you know about Virgo, you know about Aries. But if you don't watch out for the pitfall, in other words, I could be describing an Aries pitfall, but the person with the biggest Aries pitfall sitting here might be a Pisces. Depends on how strong that energy is in your chart. And remember, you have about 5. Almost everybody has about 5 signs very strong in their chart. I've got 6 myself. Not unusual. Some people have 3. Almost everybody has 4, 5, 6. And some of them get out of whack. And you take the positive energy and the dark side comes out. Okay, so I'm going to go through the zodiac talking with you. And you will see a paraphrase of the main principles that are in that book. The exquisite zodiac is based upon the real principle, the archetypal forces that give rise to each sign. Because we're not going to talk about meeting some handsome stranger on Friday night down at the bar, and we're not going to talk about how your stocks are going to do, and we're not going to talk about whether your dog is going to win its competition, because I don't care. And because it's not what real astrology is. My job, if that makes you happy, that's fine. My job is to help you here. One of my favorite things that ever happened to me today. An Aquarian woman who I've been reading for many years finally left her husband, who was not good to her, and she and I had talked for a long time, and I did not try to get her away from him, but I tried to get her to answer the questions of why she was staying and what would happen if she left. And I tried to show her how continuing with codependency is so dangerous and how people go straight up when they get past codependency. Well, she reported that she's doing her art again and she left him, and I'm not going to judge whether she should have left or not, but I helped her. And what did I help her with? I didn't help her with the stars. I helped her with this. I helped her with this. And really, I didn't do anything, but I talked to her in such a way that she could start to see the importance of this. And that's what Hawkins talks about. And that's what Nick Arondes talks about in the Course in Miracles. The best thing you can do for anybody is to help them find their own leadership. That's all. Mom and Dad driving our car. Mom and Dad are driving the car. We don't have to watch the road. We could stick our feet out the window and eat a peanut butter sandwich. But we don't want to do it because we think we can drive. Oh, I want to do this and I want to do that and I planned this. So what's your 5-year plan? And oh, I need the money. And oh, I got to do this and I can't do this because of that and all that. Well, I tell you something. Give it a thought. And almost every neat thing that you have ever heard in your life from any of your friends that ever did anything, when they talk about it, they say, I don't know what happened. It just happened. People don't talk to you. Well, my 5-year plan kicked in. Doggone, it came out just right. Well, I saved the money and I got to that point. Boy, it is just right. We live in a bullshit living in the future mentality. That's what's talking about let Mom and Dad drive. Play in the back seat, and that's what's meant by giving up, letting God go, and just going on for the ride. But no, we want to get involved and we want to drive. So when you talk about the 12 signs, it's another way of looking at it. It's not the answer. And the first problem is the dream where Pisces, or the oneness, God said to himself, I would like to be separate from myself so I could see myself. And I think I'll go off on my own. Boom! Aries, Lucifer. Doesn't mean the Aries are bad, but that's when the problem started, because the Aries was mythically born. The dream started, and the power of Aries is that sense of, I'm going to test myself. Wow, I did well. Look at me. I test myself. Look at me. All right. Well, with the pitfalls, very obvious. I'm going to point out the pitfall to each one. You can do what you want with it. But if you continue with, wow, look at me. Wow, look at me. What about me? What about me? I can guarantee you a dwindling audience. And some of the most fabulous people that walk this planet are Aries. Thomas Jefferson, James Hillman, Ram Dass, Michelangelo. There's just so many powerful Aries. Joseph Campbell. So the whole point is, you can be fascinated with yourself, but at some point in time, you're going to have to get past being fascinated with yourself, because I hate to tell you, there are a lot of things in the world beside you. That's that simple. There's your Aries pitfall. You want to insist, oh, it's just me? Well, good luck. Because I'll tell you a story, and you may remember this, you probably don't. In May 23rd of 2011, Uranus went into Aries. Uranus went 84 hours around the circle, and it entered Aries on May the 23rd, 27th, in 2011. That's a remarkable date to astrologers, because Uranus started into a new zodiac. Well, if you know Aries, Aries people know what they want. They're going to go do it. Get out of my way. I'm going to go do it. Usually very nice people, but they're direct. I'm going to go get what I want. Well, as an astrologer, I hear lots of people for many years talk, and most people talk like, well, I'm not sure whether I should, what the people are going to say, and, you know, I might kind of do this, everybody, you know, people were unsure. But when that date came, I looked around, I was watching for it, I was waiting for it, and I felt it, and I felt the Aries, and we all became Aries for a while. And all my clients kept saying, I don't care, I know what I'm going to do, I know what I'm going to do. That Aries part of us just really got big for a couple months, I believe, maybe even 4 or 5 months. I watched it, then it faded back to normalcy. But for those 3 months, I watched it, and it was remarkable to watch. That's what happens on a smaller level with full moons and new moons. You pick up that energy, because we all got these different mixing archetypes. So it's really nice to really feel sure of yourself, cocksure. Okay? But if you think that's going to get you back to the oneness, then good luck, and you write a book and I'll read it. Taurus, okay? Taurus. Taurus, the simplest way to look at Taurus, and I'll be repetitive, the simplest way of looking into Taurus is imagining Bilbo in that little hole, and he's got the big furry feet, and he's got the fireplace going, he's got a cup of tea, and he's eating the muffins, and he's got the garden out the window, and he's just in heaven. He's just in heaven. And then Gandalf walks in and says, get ready for your long trip. Oh, you're crazy. I'm not going on any trip. I'm in the Shire. I'm in the Shire and I got my fire. You going to argue with Gandalf? And then Gandalf opens the door and 13 crazy dwarfs walk in. And wow, it's just chaos. It's Uranian chaos. So you can't blame the Taurus that wants their comfort. I got a Taurus friend since high school. A long time I hadn't seen him. Taurus, Taurus, Taurus. He wrote a poem one day on Facebook called Ode to Lefty. I said, what the hell is this? Ode to Lefty. And it was, he had to finally say goodbye after 30 years to his left boot. Because it couldn't stay together anymore. And that meant the right one had to go too. And Tauruses love their dog. They love their same chair, Archie Bunker. They love their same shoe. Then he wrote a poem to his left foot because it just gave him such pleasure. You can't blame a person for having that kind of appreciation, but hidden behind it is the abhorrence of change, the rigidity of not going with the flow. There's your pitfall. Say what you want, but you know it and I know it, change is going to come. You want your pitfall? There it is. Gemini. Well, the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. Well, the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. My Gemini mother, drive us nuts when we're going somewhere. Will you get ready? Will you get ready? We got to get there. Will you get ready? Let's get there. Let's get there. Let's get there. My Capricorn dad, an Italian, is bitching and complaining. And we finally get there, and he sits down, have a drink, and settle in and talk to people. He wants to leave. Living in the future. The grass is going to be greener. 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 This is why the president, being a Gemini, can't handle more than 3 points on the list or 6 points on the list because his mind is in the future. It's not here. He can't stay in the here and now. And as the wonderful Taurus, Eckhart Tolle, that's where the riches are. The riches are in the here and now. The riches are in here and now. Well, the Aries not going to find if they're zooming by. The Taurus has an idea about it. Like you see that Taurian here and now, and it's coming out of Eckhart Tolle. It is moon in Taurus. Tolle's Aquarian, moon in Taurus. You see how these archetypes all blend? It's a beautiful swath of paintings. So the Gemini, they're very childlike, and they want to go find this. Oh, I found this. Look at that. Oh, I want to go find this. Nothing wrong with it. You know, remember the old bookmobile coming around? Ooh, boy, isn't it? And let's get a book. Let's put one back. Okay. All right. Well, you can sit there for 17 centuries and change books. Well, where's it getting you? It how many Geminis can do what you just saw with David Hawkins. He fought the battles. He fought the battles. He was on the front, just like the Aries Ramdas was on the front with us with Eastern knowledge. These are our leaders. So, if you've got a bunch of these energies, fine. Don't try to fight them. Don't try to negate them. Allow them to live. They want to come on stage and sing. They want to be. But remember, you're bigger than just these sun signs. You're a big soul. You're a big, whatever you want to call it. You're a big dynamic wholeness. But you're much bigger than what these pictures show you. Okay? So the Cancer comes along. And in the book really emphasizes clearly how one sign changes to the next sign. So the Cancers come along, and the Cancers feel very strongly that the Geminis have missed a lot because they haven't had much emotion involved, and the Cancers become very, very emotional, the most emotional sign of the zodiac in a lot of ways. And because of that, the Cancers have their strength is to gather the wagons around, to bring the family around, the family bubble, to buff themselves with the family. And they get stronger, and they grow, and they start to exchange emotion. And they're not real good at it at first. They have to learn it, because the soul is learning these things. But the pitfall of the Cancer is very simple. And boy, is it a problem with America, since we're born July the 4th. And that is crawling under the rock. If I go under the rock, I'll be safe. If I grow under the rock, I'll be safe. And guess what? You ain't safe. And guess what? You keep thumbing your nose, you're going to leave the UN Council for People's Rights? Okay, guess what? The UN's going to start saying goodbye. Bye. You got to come out from under the rock. You can't stay under the rock. Capricorns, you can't stay in the box, behaving good. Cancer, you can't go under the rock, because the damn rock's going to collapse, and you're going to get smashed, or something's going to reach in and grab you. All the signs have the strength, and they all have the weakness. That's the pitfall. I will always be able to put somebody in front of me that's going to buffer me. I have so many clients that come to me, ask them a question, and they look next door. They brought their mother with them or their sister. I asked them a question. I said, no looking at the person next to you. What do you think? And they look at mom or dad for the answer. Tell them how they feel. Again, these stages are important. They're very important. They must be valued for what they are and caressed, but they must be seen for the danger that they present. So the Cancer is very dependent on other signs, and the Cancer has to work at it. And I don't care what anybody says, because I've done a lot of research, and you can tell me off if you want to, but I don't think you're going to, but I really believe, through great analysis, I believe that the other 11 signs of the zodiac are here to take care of the Cancers. And I have learned that from experience. And I didn't want to learn it. And I think it's crazy to think about it, but it's how it is. The Cancers are insecure. You need white glove treatments. Look at Robin Williams. Look at Gilda Radner. They're childlike. Look at Tom Cruise. They're childlike. Look at Tom Hanks. They're childlike. The rest of the chart does help, but I really think the Cancers are here because the rest of the chart has to create a sense of fatherhood and create a sense of taking care of others. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it's part of the nature. And I'm not going to sit here with some intellectual false bravado and say, well, all the signs are equal, because they're not. They're not. I talked to Elkie. Elkie's got a lot of cancerian little girl in her, and it's delightful and it's very childlike. But she's also got a lot of Gemini, which is childlike too, and it's fun. But she got a lot of Sag in her. She got a lot of strong Saturn. She got a lot of strong Pluto. So she's well-rounded. But they're all there, all these pieces. I had a friend come up to me when the child was born. The child had 5 planets in Cancer. I was there the day the child was born. 5 planets, and I just went, oh. I just said to myself, a beautiful child. I said, how is this child going to make it? I'm not going to mention names or when or where. And about 20 years later, the child killed itself. Because too sensitive for the world. Couldn't handle it. Just too sensitive. And we talked, and I tried to help them understand such an awful thing, but the child couldn't take it, had to leave. Now, that's not a typical case. You know, it's the guy that just killed himself, the guy that went around the world tasting all the foods.
Bourdain, Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah, right. He was a Cancer too. Robin Williams, Cancer. But anyhow, it doesn't mean all cancers are lined up to be suicides. But a lot of it, when you got those energies, you gotta respect the fact that you just are really sensitive. I tell my Cancers, if people are on your back because you're too sensitive, and if people are telling you all the time, quit being so sensitive, quit being so sensitive, tell them to take a hike. You are sensitive, that's how it is. And what they're really saying to you is, I wish I were more sensitive. But you're sensitive, you're sensitive. Okay, so the negative side or the pitfall is, and I've seen it with so many Cancers, believing that you can't do anything, that you just can't do it. You just can't do it. You got to have somebody to do it for you. You just can't do it. Well, you got to fight it at least. You know, you be aware of it. And the big thing, and this will sound so foreign to us Western idiots, the big thing is to say, I don't know what to do, and you give it to God. I don't know what to do, and you hand it over to Michael the Archangel. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Please give me guidance. And you notice how Dr. David Hawkins is a Gemini with Venus and Mars in Cancer. Did you sense a little boyness in him? Did you sense it? A little giggle? Beautiful thing to watch. Venus and Mars in Cancer. Okay, so then the Leo comes along. Okay, and in my opinion, I've said this a long time ago, the biggest pitfall of all 12. That doesn't mean more of them fall into it. It just means when you fall into it, it's really hard to get out. And the Leo pitfall is believing your own bullshit. Let's talk about Donald Trump with Mars and Leo rising. Let's talk about Mars and Leo on the ascendant. You think I won't do that? You think I won't put those babies in that cage? Well, I did. And then the next day, I didn't mean to. I did mean to, but I did mean to. But I did mean to, but I didn't mean to. So the only ones that stay, when the Leo starts that stuff, the only ones that stay or remain in that circle are the ones that say, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know, boss. Yeah, I know, boss. What are they telling you? The people that work in the White House are telling you it's a nightmare working there. So why does this come about? Because the Leo is trying to get past that Cancer stage of sensitivity, and they're imprinted from their archetype with a sense that I'm not wrong, it's not me, it must be you. And that's a beautiful gift that the Leos are given. It's not me, Mr. De Niro, it's you. You talking to me? Well, after a while, if that gets out of hand, and it gets out of hand, A-Rod, and it gets out of hand, Madonna, and it gets out of hand for Barry Bonds, you're just never wrong. Mussolini, you're just never wrong. And if you leave me and you don't listen to me, you're an ingrate, and I'll just get rid of you. So they end up becoming false. They becoming unreal. That's the pitfall. They think the pitfall is that people are going to find out they're wrong. My God, being wrong is like death to a Leo. It's not the pitfall. The pitfall is you're human and you're fallible and you make mistakes. I see a lot of Leo people now really getting with it. A lot of people, Leos are really, I'm seeing a lot of really impressive ones. They're getting past this. They're growing. They're getting past this possible pitfall. I'm seeing a lot of progress in this area. And certainly the women do a lot better at it than the men because big egos and power trips are more of a male thing anyway. So let's see you shake heads. Your head. Does that make sense? Do you see a bunch of Leos that have this kind of energy around you? Okay. All right. It's that way. And the way, see, you have to learn that it's really you when your impulse is not me. So all your pitfalls can be answered by reversing what your strength is. All of them. So then comes the Virgo. And the Virgo just is so sick of all the bravado of the Leo, and the Virgo wants to really work hard and really be good at what they do, and they work their tail off, and they shun emotions. The Virgo women are doing really well with the opposition from Neptune. The past 8 years or so, the Virgo men are really having a tough time. What's the problem? I'll go fix it. What's the problem? I'll go fix it. What's the problem? I'll go fix it. It's not a faucet. But to Virgo, emotions are from a weakness. And yet Virgo has to learn emotions are not a weakness. And it's admirable that the buck stops here. And it's admirable that they want to be self-made men and women. But you have to treat yourself better, and Virgos are known for treating themselves very badly, and thus they're not the ones you go to when you got to cry on somebody's shoulder. They're wonderful people, wonderfully pure souls, but they can really have a difficult time with emotion. And what they have to learn is very clear. You can sit on a lounge chair at the beach and wait all day and do nothing and be okay. And some people that do that, they are bums because they're doing it 10, 15 days in a row. But other people can do it for a couple hours or a couple of days and it's okay. But if the Virgo even starts for 5 minutes, they get on their own back. So being their own self-critic is very tough. Libra, the first sign of relationships. Wonderful sign, ballsy sign, brave, smart, very intelligent, go-getters, getting involved with everything. Their strength is how they compare themselves. They almost always have good jobs. They're winners. They assess things well. They land on their feet. But the problem with Libra that's so common, and there are a couple pitfalls, really. One is the answer to everything is to compromise. Well, you can't have that be the answer. Sometimes you can't compromise. No, I'm not compromising. I like you, I love you, but I'm not compromising. No. It will be unpleasant. We will feel unpleasant for a few minutes, and that's okay. No. That's the answer. And the Libra's need to be socially accepted can be deadly. You ought to see what trouble I have with parents. Parents who are raising Libra children, man, is it tough. They got a 13, 14-year-old girl who they'll get married to their cell phone and they want to have the right nail polish and the right makeup and all the stuff and want to have plastic surgery at age 13. You can't fall for it. whether you're socially accepted or not, cannot be the end-all be-all. And there's probably no sign of the zodiac that looks down and not up more than Libra. There's no sign that is less impressed with the heavens than Libra. Even though Timothy Leary was a Libra, and even though Suzanne is a Libra, and even though we know so many Libras who have a lot of Neptune, and they are very broad and very big, but a lot of Libras are just stuck in keeping up with the Joneses and being impressive. And how do they look? Hey, how do I look? What's it making me look like? You get stuck in that, that's a pitfall. Because then you're not real. So that's the one. Scorpio, really tough sign. It's 9:06. I've been talking an awful lot. Hi, Melody. 9:06. Scorpio. Okay. Scorpio is so feverishly drawn to unite with somebody else. Play Neil Young songs on 33 1/3. You want the answer? Play all the Neil Young songs that just grind your soul. He played the same damn note 18 times in a row. On his fourth album, I think he played one of his leads. He played the same damn note for 18 times in a row as he's beating the hell out of his Les Paul and twisting that neck. I know you've heard it. Whether it's Harvest or which one it is. Alabama, that's what it is. They're just so intense. And he's got moon opposite Pluto, so he's really intense. Well, they just have a lot of passion and intensity to really share. But when you have so much energy down in the fuselage, you just go whoo right over top your subject. And you can't overwhelm your partner. So they're the opposite reaction of Libra. Libra wants to be charming and delicate and classy when they start to partner, and Scorpio goes the other direction. You can't eat the partner for breakfast. How many Scorpios will tell you, oh, I need that? It's a purse. It's a cell phone. Oh, I need that. You don't need it. The passion is so strong, it can turn them towards devouring. Listen to Joni Mitchell lyrics on 33 1/3. Oh, I devoured you. What happened to me? Oh, you know, boy, she lost her audience. Loving and uniting is not devouring. But the soul's growing, right? We're going through these stages. And that's what happens with Scorpio. And their biggest downfall, without a doubt, their biggest pitfall is being too overly dedicated and being too harsh on themselves. If you've ever been around one that talks really nasty to you or sharp, you ought to hear what they're saying to themselves. Who knows some intense Scorpios? Anybody? How'd you like to live inside their brain and listen to what's going on? No, thank you. Okay? And that's what Pluto does. It makes them, there will not be any betrayal in any case ever. Well, okay. All right. Good luck with that one. Sagittarius. Well, we're coming the hell out of that heat in the kitchen in Scorpio, and we're having fun now. Woo! We're having a blast. Bette Midler and the rest of us, right? Woo! Flip Wilson. We're just having a blast, right? Woo! We're just going to have a blast. If it ain't fun, I'm not doing it. If it ain't fun, I'm not doing it. If it ain't fun, I'm not doing it. Well, you know what? Sometimes things just aren't fun. And sometimes you're going to get excluded for not taking other people seriously. I have a lot of friends that are wonderful Sagittarians, and I can't think of one that would ever think of picking up the phone to call me. I have so many that I see them and, oh, God, it's fun. We have a blast. And woo! And unless they got a bunch of Scorpio, they got a bunch of Capricorn in their chart, they just don't consider it. When they see me, I'm fun. Woo, the fun starts. But I saw somebody a few months ago. I study these signs intensely. Can you tell? And the Sag was saying, I can't let this person stop me having fun. And that told me everything. And boy, did I do aha. I cannot let this person get in my way for me having fun. And it's a wonderful thing to enjoy life, and I wish I could have more fun. And most astrologers feel like when they die, they come back, they want to be Sagittarians. That's the truth. They all say Sagittarian. Not me. The most damage I've had in my life has been because of Sagittarian energy. Without a doubt. Way more than Pluto, more than Neptune, more than Saturn. But that's a long story. So the Sag, and a lot of them are very reverent and they're very deep. They have a lot of Scorpio, they have Capricorn. They can be balanced, but the Sag has to watch the pitfall of glossing over things. Oh, and I just insulted you. Let's talk about that zit on your face. But I didn't really mean to say zit, did I? Yeah, you did. And you did hurt their feelings. Yes. Yes, you put your foot in your mouth. Yes. We have videotape that shows it. No, you don't. Yeah, we do. We watched it. So, without a doubt, the biggest pitfall with Sagittarius is this false belief, this bullshit belief of if it's true, I can say it. If it's true, I can say it. What a bunch of BS, Mr. Trump with Moon and Sag. What a heartless belief. So you have to admire them because they got a real love of honesty. So it's like the rest of us. We all got a little bit of good and a little bit of the bad and a little bit of the light and a little bit of the dark. And whoa, we're getting through the zodiac and out comes Capricorn. And the Capricorn's so scary. Yeah, James Comey, a good example. So we're getting on through the zodiac. Oh, and up pops a Capricorn, the goat. And the goat has this strong sense. It's all about duty and responsibility. And that explains everything about a Capricorn. And if you have great sense of duty and responsibility beyond yourself, Mr. Sagittarius, then you will make it your mainstay to make sure. Whatever you do, you make sure. And the reason, and the way Capricorn makes sure is they color inside the lines. They color inside the lines and they play it safe. Color inside the lines and they play it safe. And man, is it not safe. And man, is it deadly. And man, is it okay for you to go outside the lines. But you see, they have to teach themselves that. Marcia and I, being born similar dates, we don't have to worry about it because we both have a lot of Aquarius and a lot of Sag in our charts. But the typical Capricorn, it's very tough. Very tough. We're getting down to the last two. Aquarius is next. Aquarius, and I've definitely decided when I come back, that's what I want to be. I want to be an Aquarian because of so many reasons. Aquarians are very strong, very smart, independent, tolerant, love life, like being alone. But the problem with Aquarius, and it's a big one, is they got that one lesson left, and that one lesson left is the big one. What keeps you from being an Aquarian and turning you into a Pisces is the preservation of the self and the surrender of the self. And Aquarius fights so damn hard to get the self developed through all 11 stages. Remember, it's all been a myth. It's all been false anyway. When you left God, it was just an imaginary trip. It's an imaginary trip. And it gets to the peak, and you are on top. And all of a sudden, you're on top, and you still can't go anywhere because you're by yourself. Where are you going to go? Because the thing that's inside of us that's so deep that Mr. Tarnas talks about and Hawkins talks about is the yearning, and Mr. Joseph Campbell talks about, is the yearning for the oneness. And for the oneness to appear, Mr. Aquarius has to let go of all those things that it just built. Has to let go and surrender. And that's the one pitfall of Aquarius, is they become too self-contained. They become, I only take my own counsel, and that's deadly. You gotta have chagrin and let it go and open up to other input and be willing to let go of the self, which the Aquarian's trying to drive the car from the back seat. The Aquarian's not ready. Only God can drive the car. That's just it. We just aren't capable. We don't know. So you go to the final sign of Pisces, which is a beautiful sign, wonderful sign, very difficult sign to be. And their pitfalls are many. A very dangerous sign. And I love them to death, but it's a very dangerous sign because they don't care. The reason they don't care is not because the First Lady's jacket that she's wearing. No. They don't care because everything's pointless. Nothing matters. Why? Because nothing matters. Why? Because nothing matters. Hey, nothing matters. Don't make nothing. It's no big deal. It doesn't matter. Well, of course, not all Pisces are that way, but that's the pitfall. And if nothing matters, well, then that's not too far from being an alcoholic or a drug addict, because you sure don't want to go to work. You sure don't want to be responsible for yourself. Thus, the real strong theme of Piscean victimhood. So the Pisces have to understand that it doesn't matter on one sense, but in another sense it does. And they are living on multiple layers at the same time. And the Pisces have a tremendous need to escape. And the number one thing Pisces people need, the number one thing Pisces people need is to be left alone. But that doesn't mean snubbing people. It means you want to be left alone so that the self will dissolve and you'll return to the oneness. Very tough. Listen to anything by George Harrison. The feeling of the George Harrison song. That's the Pisces feeling. So, the escaping can turn into martyrdom, can turn into irresponsibility, and it can turn into a huge pitfall. And that's not what Pisces is about. The escaping is about escaping the rigors and the chains of being an individual. What did George write about? All his songs. Life goes on within you and without you. Oh, my sweet Lord. And he was always screaming about this in his songs. He was always talking about transcending the self. Okay? So there you have it. You have a mishmash rather quickly of what the 12 pitfalls are. And they're by no means the perfect answers, but they're probably pretty close. And I am going to say good night to our YouTubers and thank them for joining us. And I want to show everybody that if you would like to join us next week or any week, those of you seeing us on YouTube, if you would like to see us and join us at 8 o'clock Eastern on any Thursday night, all you got to do is go here to my website, starself.com/unplugged, and those are the links that will get you here. And you can log in through your tablet or through your PC or through your phone. And you don't have to have any astrology knowledge. And you do have to send me lots of money. And I thank you for being here. Tonight's recording will be on YouTube tomorrow afternoon. But thank you for joining us. And we like to sign off around now so we can have a little bit of Q&A. I hope you enjoyed it. and I hope you learned about your archetypes somewhat. I do recommend strongly the Exquisite Zodiac, which really explains it in a very patient way. Thank you.